Dr. Pahlajani Test Tube Baby and Surrogacy Center.
We are just preparing for the ovum aspiration now. We have with us our staff ready, that is our assistant. We have Dr. Samir with us, we have anesthetist with us, and everything setup is now ready. First of all, this is the vaginal probe which we are going to cover with the probe cover. Then we have ultrasound unit, ovum aspiration or the Kraft suction unit. These are the disposable vaginal probe covers. We are just going to cover the ultrasound vaginal probe with this. This is now the guide through which our needle will enter, and this guide we are going to fix over the probe.
The 16 gauge guide wire. Since we are using an 18 gauge needle for ovum aspiration, that's why we are using 16 gauge guide wire. It has got two channels. This channel is for the entry of the needle, and this is the point from where the needle will come out. We have to fit this guide over the vaginal probe. Like this. It needs to be closely fit over the vaginal probe. And once it is fit, these channels are locked over the probe so that it becomes fixed over the probe. And now we are ready for the aspiration. Our needle is ready and it has been connected. Just show. It has been connected to the tube for collection of the fluid, and the other end has been connected with the aspiration unit to maintain the pressure.
We are going from below upside, that is the inverted image. There is the other way also, which few people also follow, that going from up down, but here we are using the inverted images. This is the right ovary, and we are expecting 3 follicles, and thus the 3 oocytes from this. And then on the other side, not that good, but might be we'll get 1 or 2 oocytes from this ovary as well. So now we are all set. We are using a single lumen ovum aspiration needle. There is one more kind of ovum aspiration needle that we call it as a double lumen, where we can do the aspiration and flushing through one channel. But here we are using this single lumen needle. This is the single lumen ovum aspiration needle, which has got 3 parts. Part 1, this is the knob. This knob is going to fit into the tube where we are going to collect the follicular fluid. While fitting this knob into the tube, we have to be very careful that it should not be loose. If it is loose, the pressure will be lost and we will not be able to collect the fluid properly, and if it is too tight, we might break the tube. On pre-warmed blocks, which are maintained at a temperature of 37 degrees Celsius. Then we have another channel which we are going to connect with the aspiration pump. Again, while we are collecting into the aspiration pump, we have to be very careful that this end of the aspiration unit and this end of the pickup needle should be well aligned and properly tightened. And then there is one channel which we have to be very careful that it should be in line with the needle and with the aspiration unit, so that the pressure is directly passed from the needle into the collecting chamber. This has a knob which we will fit into the tube in which we are going to collect the follicular fluid. These tubes are kept in a container which are maintained at 37 degrees Celsius, and these containers are pre-warmed and battery operated, and so that the temperature is maintained at 37 degrees Celsius. This is the single lumen aspiration needle, which has an now beveled upper edge, and while aspirating we just make it a point that this beveled upper edge is upside, and then these are the markers over the needle which help us in locating the needle clearly on ultrasound. The needle are available in various lengths, but what we are using is a standard length. The needle has got a beveled edge, and while entering into the follicle we make it a point that this beveled edge is kept upside, and then you can see these grooves over the needle. These grooves are made on the needle to make it easy. Then these needles are introduced into the guide wire, and then we have another channel which we are going to fit to the aspiration unit, which will maintain the suction pressure.
We are now ready for the aspiration.
The follicle is bring into the view, and the needle, we can just locate the needle on the screen, is about to enter into the follicle. Once the needle punctures the follicles, we have to maintain a pressure so that the follicle is seen collapsing. And now this again, the second follicle has bring into the picture. We have entered, and we can see that how this follicle is collapsing, and the follicular fluid is being collected. See how this, we are just focusing the follicle into the view, then we are puncturing it, keeping the needle in the center of the follicle and seeing how the follicle is collapsing, so that there is complete emptying of the follicle, and thus better recovery of the oocyte.
At times when we find
Difficulty in stabilizing the follicle, or the ovary is very mobile, we can put a pressure from the abdomen so that the ovary gets stabilized and it becomes easy to focus on the follicle and thus to puncture it. We can see a dotted line over the screen. This is the puncture guideline, which will help us in locating the follicle and which will guide us from where to go into the follicle, so that the aspiration becomes easy. Once we are through with the aspiration, the tubes are changed, and the collected tube is handed over to the embryologist for oocyte finding. Now we are going to the other side. While puncturing the ovary, we need to be very careful that at times the blood vessels, they also look like a follicle, and if we have any doubt, we can just change the field, and with changing of the field, the blood vessel will change its shape from round to cylindrical, and still there is any doubt, we can put a Doppler to see whether it's a blood vessel or a follicle.
And once we are through with the aspiration, it's important to check both the ovaries, that whether all the follicles have been aspirated or not, and also to check for the POD for any collection into the pouch of Douglas. And if everything is alright, we come out and check for any vaginal bleeding